welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
An accent. We need God. Because only God can bring us out of this mess.
Wonderfully made. I may not look like you and you me, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting its glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be.
All right. Top of the day to you. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. My name's Doni. Last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. It's a beautiful day. Boy, I was doing some news coverage yesterday. Let me just tell you that this election, early voting is next week. Early voting in the state of Maryland is next week. So despite all of the political developments, both locally and nationally, this whole thing will be over in a very short time. The primary election in the state of Maryland is July 19th. Tuesday, July 19th, and that's what, 3 weeks and 19, 3.5 weeks. We have a new governor. So you got all of these people running for governor, Democrats, Republicans. The attorney general's race is one we've been watching, Anthony Brown, Katie O'Malley, and then there's the comptroller race. Brooke Learman, Tim Adams. For the first time ever, you have 3 Black men running for all 3 of the state's top posts. I don't remember this happening before. And in a couple of those races, it could be historic. The first time ever that a Black man has won a statewide position in the state of Maryland. Maryland is very much Democrat, but Maryland is very much still dealing with the vestiges of racism. And here to discuss what we as a people ought to be doing amidst those vestiges of slavery is our guest for now, Robert Johnson. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
I'm outstanding. Tell us about yourself, Robert. Who are you?
Well, my name is Robert Johnson. I'm a 25-year resident of the state of Maryland, now transplanted from New York, left undergrad at SUNY Albany, moved here to this great state. I'm a lifelong educator. I started out at high schools, became a principal, also worked at the collegiate level as director of admissions at Bowie State University. But now, as I take on this role, embrace this role as a community organizer and activist, right? My lifelong passion, and I believe my calling, is really organizing individuals and networks and organizations within our community. So I'm the executive director for My Brother's Keeper, Prince George's County Network, that was started by the Obama administration, but there are over 200 independent networks across the country, and Prince George's County is one of them. Also a member of the Caucus of African American Leaders, and within this, with both of those organizations, we decided to address some of the issues and concerns within our communities, and that is going to be done at this conference that we're hosting in partnership with Morgan State University. And it's called
Okay, Robert, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I wanted to ask you a question. Take a breath.
I got you, brother. I got you.
In New York City.
You know how we are. When we get rolling, we keep going, man.
Okay. what borough in New York City do you call home?
From Long Island. From Long Island.
Strong Island.
That's right.
Okay. And you say you've been here 25 years.
I left home at 17.
All right.
Went to
All
college
right.
for 4 years and never went back.
Okay. Your mama proud of you, but I still got to ask you the question. Who makes the best crab cake in Baltimore?
Well, I'm allergic to shellfish, so I can't testify to that.
Oh man! All right, well, what's your favorite seafood? You can't eat any seafood.
I can eat, fish. So, from New York, we touch that whiting all day long.
Whiting. Have you had the rockfish?
We have rockfish as well. Rockfish is very nice.
And have you been to Sheepshead Bay?
Sheepshead Bay, yes, I have, sir.
Okay, we just had to check your credentials. We get a lot of people say they from New York. And come to find out they from Lewiston, New York.
No, sir. No, sir. I'm not going to claim it if I can't represent it the right way.
Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Lewiston, New York, but that's up there by the Niagara River where Harriet Tubman crossed that water.
They crossed that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So
one of the stations was in Albany. One of the stations was in Albany.
And so when you think of how serious she had to be to go from, say, Maryland all the way up to the Niagara River.
Absolutely.
And you think about what we're seeing in this country today, in our lifetime, 2022, the reversal of Roe v. Wade. How serious are these times we're living in?
Well, this is a critical time in our history, right? You literally have individuals talking about this is the start of the second Reconstruction. We have to look at that commitment by Sister Harriet to not only travel that road independently by herself, but then to go back, hundreds of times to get others.
I want to tell you this. I'm really going to need your help. When you go to Google or Wikipedia, I just heard you say hundreds of trips. These people want to say that Harriet Tubman freed only 70 people. Now, I know I heard her quote say, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. And we're talking about this conference coming up, and I'm going to get to that, at Morgan State. Do we understand the dire emergency that's been thrust upon us?
I think we've been a little disillusioned with some of the progress that we have made as a community, and it's diverted our attention from the challenges, the multiplicity of challenges that we have in our community. So the progress has not met the challenges and the needs within our community, right? And so there's some that have been successful, but as you well know, until all of us are, right, until all of us have opportunities at success, none of us are successful. And that's what we have to do. We have to go back to our communalism versus where we are right now with individualism, right? And that's fundamental. It was pervasive in our community, but we've lost that. Too many individuals that are isolated that just focus solely on themselves, as opposed to saying, okay, you know what, this community needs to make it.
Okay, so Mr. Johnson, we have an important press conference today. You have one in 40 minutes, 50 minutes. What's happening that you want us to know about? And I'm going to give you the whole screen. Is that the flyer behind you?
It's the flyer right behind me. Yes, sir.
Okay, you got the floor.
So this press conference today is being held at Morgan State University. And from here, we're literally going to talk about the Crisis in the Black Community Conference. This conference is put together it's organized, and it will be hosted at the university on July 8th and 9th. The purpose of the conference is to bring together organizations, grassroots leaders and organizers, elected officials, faith-based organizations, to bring anyone that's concerned about the crisis and challenges and issues within our community to come together to identify those across the state, but then more importantly, to come up with viable solutions to those. So we want to spend 2 days on July 8th and 9th at this historic university. Morgan State has played a great role in the civil rights movement, and Baltimore alone is a center of our culture in the state of Maryland. We want to identify what challenges lie in our communities, look at how we can formulate an agenda from that, right? Roll that out strategically, and then now look at statewide. How do we collectively unify our communities around issues, not candidates, issues? And some of the issues that we'll talk about throughout this conference will be in four areas. We'll talk about economics, education, health, voting rights, and criminal justice and environmental justice.
Sound like
Throughout
five.
Mm-hmm.
It sound like five.
It was actually 6. It was 6 of them, but voting rights, and healthcare will be embedded within the other 4. So that's going to be the overarching theme throughout, right? But 4 focus areas will be education, legislative policy and voting rights, economics, and criminal justice.
How important is this conference to the primary that happens here on July 19th?
Well, when you think about it, we need to make sure that we start to condition ourselves and our communities to look at issues, right? Instead of aligning with candidates right away and with parties right away, we need to align ourselves with issues and then look at the candidates that are going to support those issues. And that's how we should vote. We're not here at this conference to tell anyone how to vote. We're nonpartisan, but we want to support candidates that take our issues in our communities under concern and they make those a priority. So with the primary election coming July 19th, right, we need to make certain that we can inform individuals, we educate individuals on policy, on officials that may or may not have our community at the forefront. But then for the general election, to make certain that people are making the right decision based on accurate information. This election season literally can dictate not only for our generation, but for our grandkids' generation as well. Think about some of the decisions that have just come down last week.
So the state of Maryland is interesting, and you almost had me there. I thought you were going to say that Baltimore, like Harlem, is a part of the culture of Black people nationally, but we'll take the local one for now. You know, New York has the oldest chapter of the NAACP. Baltimore has the second oldest.
Yes, sir.
To my understanding. So, you know, we are nowhere near the size of New York, but we do have a lot of love and a lot of respect for New York City. I think it's a mutual respect.
It is definitely that. Definitely that.
But quite often the fight is the same. When you look at businesses in New York City, Black people make up 22% of the population, but we're getting 2% of the contracts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here in the city of Baltimore, we make up 60% of the population. We're still getting 2% of the contracts. It's the same fight. But when you talk about getting ready for the general election, Baltimore is 9-1 Democrat. The state of Maryland is 2-1 Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything at your conference that brings up the fact that quite often the Democrats treat Black people like a side piece?
There is, and that's the importance of the breakout sessions in voting rights and the importance of voting and why your vote matters. You hit those numbers that you hit were right on the head, right? So you look at the percentages, you should say Maryland should be blue all the way through, right? But we're not.
Well, what is blue? What is blue? I live in Baltimore City,
bingo.
9-1 Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
and blue to me, I don't know the difference between blue and red because my community gets ostracized regardless.
Absolutely. And that's why we're having this conference, not based on candidates or parties, but based on issues. Brother Glover, if you think about the Gary Conference that happened in 1972, from there, they developed a national Black political agenda, right? You had 400 organizations, 10,000 people. come together over a 3-day period, and they developed an agenda that focused primarily on our communities. That was led by Brother Amiri Baraka. That was led by Mayor Diggs and Brother Hatcher, right? So from there, you had the largest percentage of individual African Americans that were elected into local positions, right? You're talking about your aldermen, your congressmen, your mayors, and things like that in a 6-year period. From there, because of that, they were focused on issues, right? And we talk about issues. You just talked about the similarities between Baltimore and New York, but let's think about the similarities between Baltimore, Annapolis, Prince George's County, Eastern Shore, right? Why do we continue to not get the funding according to our population? Why do we not get contracts based on our population?
We get what we negotiate, Mr. Johnson.
Exactly.
And apparently, a lot of our leaders, you deal with in New York. I've heard people talk smack about some of your longtime Congress people that, and we become guilty. Paulo Freire wrote Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where we take on the characteristics of those who have been oppressing us.
Absolutely.
It's like somebody been kidnapped and held hostage for 20 years. But then they get out and hold somebody else hostage for 20 years.
Right.
It's a repetitive cycle. I'm here to tell you, Mr. Johnson, I seem to be getting more money from my community from Republicans than from my own so-called brother and sister Democrats. And then election time comes, and they'll tell me, a black man, I should be voting hypothetically for Brooke Learman and overlook my brother that looks like me named Tim Adams. And black elected officials are co-signing it. And the black newspaper co-signed it too. They don't even know Brooke Learman.
Again, we need to look at individuals' track records. We need to
call some people out, Mr. Johnson.
Brother, and you're 100% correct. 100% correct. And that's why people will not be able to say that they no longer understand or that they no longer know what the issues are in our community. There was a 64-page document developed from that conference, and we're going to develop a document that's going to be inclusive of inclusive of individuals that represent this state, but we are calling out grassroots organizations. We're calling out community organizers. We're calling out non-elected people to come to this conference and have your voices heard. So we don't want to continue to be part of the problem. We need individuals to come out and be part of the solution. So then now when we develop this as a community, this is going to be the people's agenda, right? Come out and develop the people's agenda and then take it to those legislators where they can no longer say that they don't understand what individuals want. They will understand the needs. Then we can talk about the resources that are needed to put these things in place and then enact policies that will help develop our communities and help change our communities. And we will be part of that, right?
Are you going to have anything on gun rights, Mr. Johnson?
Say again, please.
Are you going to have anything on gun rights?
There may be something along in the criminal justice breakout sessions.
I'm worried then, Mr. Johnson, because some of these pilgrims are talking about not giving up their AKs, knowing that they've killed hundreds of children. I'm here to tell you, Mr. Johnson, I need to make sure this conference is on point before I endorse it.
The conference is on point. I will tell you, I'm not going to mislead you and tell you that we have a session specifically on gun rights, but I'm certain that topic will come up within our criminal justice policy sessions.
Are you going to address the fact that these people want to shoot us and they want our women? So now with this abortion thing going down, and I didn't even think about this till I got an editorial sent to us yesterday, Black women will be in more of a position to be criminalized.
Absolutely.
Because of Roe v. Wade. There are people that want to kill us, Mr. Johnson. And so on that note, I was getting to this entity I learned about down in Georgia. And pardon my language, this is just the name of the group. It's called the Not Fucking Around Crew. Are you familiar with them?
I am familiar with them.
Are they coming?
They are not coming.
I'd love to meet them. I just want to know what they're about.
I am familiar with them. I have not met them, right? But I'm familiar with their work and impressed with some of the things that they do.
Okay. So where can people get more information, Mr. Johnson?
So to register for the conference, we would strongly encourage individuals to go to Eventbrite. You literally type in "crisis in the Black community," and the conference registration link will come up. Register for the conference. You'll see it's a 2-day registration window. There will be plenty of breakout sessions, 16 breakout sessions each day, that'll be led by local leaders as well as individuals from across the state. You may also.
What local leaders?
Say again?
What local leaders?
Well, you'll have individuals from grassroots organizations, your NAACP chapters, Mr. Kevin Slayton. You'll have Mr. Dr. Daniels.
Man, we don't want to come to one of them typical conferences with these same people saying the same thing. You know, over 100 years ago, 1917, you had the Silent March in New York City and Harlem. And quite often we see these same usual cast of characters who are silent in the middle of a war. We need to know, we need to hear from people who we see on North Avenue, on Greenmount Avenue, on Pennsylvania Avenue, not the ones we just see on television.
Absolutely.
Because they're not our leaders.
Absolutely.
NAACP, with all due respect, I don't know the last thing I've heard from them. I heard from the one in New York, but we ain't heard from the one in Baltimore.
And that's why you heard me stress it. And I said, we need the local leaders, grassroots organizers, community leaders, and any concerned citizen to come out and have their voices heard, right? We don't need individuals to sit back and say, well, this isn't happening, and then I'm going to blame this organization. This is an opportunity for everyone to come out and have their voices heard and to participate in developing an agenda, right? So let's move. We're going to move away from the blame game because we're going to take part. But this is the first step. This is a step in the process, right? This is not a moment. This is going to build towards a movement, right? And this movement is going to start with, again, the people's agenda. And that's what we need to make certain that individuals clearly understand. Come out and participate. Come out and get engaged, get involved. Most importantly, learn how to organize, transition that to mobilization, and then let's look at these issues that we need to organize and mobilize around. Brother Stokely and Brother Malcolm said what? Everyone should be part of an organization, right? And everyone should focus in on their homes and their community first, right? There's nothing wrong with outside communities, but take care of your own first, and that's what we're striving to do here at this conference.
Well, we're glad to have it. Any final thoughts, Mr. Johnson?
Well, I appreciate you allowing me to come on the show. I just want to reiterate to everyone, ladies and gentlemen, we are at a critical time in this country right now, and every vote matters. But in order to vote, you need to know what you're voting for, right? And that means making certain that your issues and your communities or issues are brought forward. They're clearly identified, and we know, and people know what they are, and that you take part in it. Morgan State University, there are many other organizations that are putting together the first of a series of conferences that are going to develop this. And we need to do this together. And that's why you see Crisis in the Black Community moving forward together. Collectively, we can identify issues, and collectively, we can help solve them ourselves. Let's do this ourselves. Let's get out in front of this, right? And stand up on our own, develop this, and move forward together. Thank you, sir.
Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Have a beautiful day.
I appreciate your time. Have a great one.
Yes, sir. So, Mike Haney, why don't you come on in here and talk to me a little bit? Nikki, we'll be coming to you in a second. Mike Haney, come on in. I got a couple questions for you. So we just talked with Robert Johnson, and we had a couple of comments up here. It looked like they were going back and forth. All right, so Mr. Haney put up there, always known what the people want and need. Our politicians have agendas which align. I don't know what their agendas align with. And then he wrote, abortion is another tool for gentrification of Black people, as almost 50% of abortions are had by Black women in America. Well, he left that kind of open-ended. Now, I do have to agree with Mike on this, that Maryland has had a Republican governor for see, 12 of the past 22 years. So it was blue, but for the past, for this millennium, yeah, you damn right it's getting purple. Hogan wasn't no fluke. He beat the brakes off of the challenges. Fluke. Not winning with no grand slam like that, Montage. I ain't buying that. Yeah, we know they get a lot of money from outside the community. When haven't we been at a critical time? Touche. Okay, so we're gonna get to what's next. Nikki, how you doing?
What's going on, Mr. Donnie? I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you loud and I hear the last guest. All right, you got some real crisp audio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell them who you are, Nikki.
So my name is Nikki. I'm a member of Breeze Through Auto Fam.
That's the car club.
That's a car club. Yes, I'm in the car club world.
You're the boss of the car club.
Something like that. Yeah, I try to handle a lot of events and stuff. You know.
Why? Where you from?
I'm originally from Queens, New York.
New York then took over the last guy was from Long Island.
Yeah, moved down here a few years ago. I actually used to come down here a lot back in the day to party. It's different. Baltimore is not the same.
No, they robbing women too. So look,
yeah.
Before we get over there to Nikki, you wanted to say a couple of things. I saw you were going on a rant during our last guest. What say hi to Nikki first of all.
Hey Nikki, how you doing?
How you doing, Mr. Mike?
I'm doing great, man. Other than that New York hat, man, I think you're okay, man. How can you be in New York and be in Baltimore and have a New York hat? New Yorkers are all right, but they just know everything. They come to
absolutely.
New Yorkers know everything. They come to Baltimore because they think they can come down here and take over, but you don't appear to be that type. You know, they can't run New York, so they come down and try to run Baltimore.
You're talking a lot. Nikki, you don't have to take that. Nikki,
you know what? I'm a humble being. I'm a humble being.
Humble don't work here. Humble don't work here. You better fight.
I'm a humble person.
She seems
you can never take a boss out of character.
She seems humble. I like Nikki already. Look at that smile. Look at that smile, sweetie. I like that. You wear your New York hat, but don't wear it into my business. Don't wear it into my business if our business is in Baltimore, because I will tell you it's all about the home team.
And you know what I'll do? I'll make sure that I go home and get my Ravens hat out the trash.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Just don't wear that New York hat in Baltimore in my business. Because I'll tell you.
Don't wear no Pittsburgh colors around me. Let me tell you, leave the Yankees alone. The greatest Yankees came out of Baltimore. Don't you ever forget it. Black, white, Babe Ruth, Reggie Jackson, New York Yankees. And the Orioles could have had the greatest baseball player, but the Orioles were too damn racist to treat Reggie Jackson like the hero he was. So he went up there to New York in 1977, stepped to the left side of the plate, and smacked 3 of them out the park in one game. Love you, Baltimore, but you're real racist.
Well, let Baltimore, let Reggie Jackson and Babe Ruth and Mr. Johnson. Nikki, you can stay down here because I like you. Let them go back to New York and stay in New York. Right. They can stay in New York.
Appreciate that.
I'm trying
to bring some positivity to Baltimore. Y'all got a very negative image. A very negative image.
Don't use the word y'all because you're part of y'all, right? So don't use that word.
I mean, this is true. Baltimore, period, has a negative image.
I don't want to ship you back to New York either.
Oh, I don't want to go back.
Okay, so use we.
Okay, so Baltimore as a whole, whether you're from here, born here, or you live here now, it's a negative image that they have.
Why?
Because it seems like only thing the news report is the bad stuff. They don't report the good stuff. You know, and the politicians don't help. Politicians want to take pictures and make everything look good, but whole time they're not really doing nothing either.
So you think America holds Baltimore up and say, hey, here's how these black people, although they use another word, this is how they really are. This is how they really are. So Baltimore and Detroit are held up as a how we really are type town, right? And that a New York, which is a blend, a Los Angeles, which is a blend, with the exception of Compton and Watts, they seem to get a better trajectory for Black people than Baltimore and Detroit, which are wholly Black towns. I heard them talk about the 2% as a 60% that we're entitled or get money. And that's because, we haven't figured out, this is my estimation of how we need to come together. And we need an uprising in our communities that is positively pointed outside our communities. But, it's tough to keep us together as a people on the same platform and agenda.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this charity that I'm doing, and the charity event that I'm doing. It's so many senseless killings in Baltimore, number one. And it's not just people getting shot. You got a lot of young black people dying from perks, drug addiction. And it's like everybody is talking about the killings and the drug addictions, but nobody's really speaking on some positive stuff that can help change it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even for the dirt bike boys, they get such a bad rep. And I'm not saying that all of them are good and not saying all of them are bad. But you know what? Where I work at, I've seen them out here. I've seen them out here on dirt bikes. Nothing is said to them.
I think it is absolutely phenomenal. If we were in Indianapolis or somewhere else, you know what we would be doing? We would be building a park, charging admission, figuring out a way to pay
Indianapolis.
We would be figuring out a way.
Yeah.
To pay it. And that's why I'm saying it hasn't happened, Donnie, because it is in Baltimore and they want to keep the trajectory of our imagery in a negative light, because these are talented kids. These are talented kids.
It take a lot to get on a dirt bike and lift that thing up.
Mayor, we have a Black president of the city council. And what would it take to spend $2 or $3 million versus putting it in the criminal justice pipeline to prison, taking the $2 million and figuring out what a bike park looks like? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is just same thing with the squeegee kids, in terms of some of the opportunities that we could do. But, when we don't control the money, we don't control the money for the Baltimore City Public Schools. We don't control the city budgetary money, because these monies are slush funds for special interests to pay each other back. And that's how they get rich, off of our backs, which is why the services don't come down to the people, because the money, Baltimore has the highest property tax rate in the state of Maryland, right? And where does the money go? The money goes back into the special interest communities to keep the rich richer. And we don't understand the nature of that game, man.
The money goes to the Department of Public Works, to his salary, that humongous salary.
It goes to the public works vendors so that they can go live out in suburbia, right? And so that's why I've always said our Black politicians have no power, because if I was mayor, there's no doubt the first thing up would be to build a bike park. The first thing up would be to get these squeegee kids some real meaningful jobs, pay them to wash windshields for free. But nobody wants to see that done, because it would change the trajectory and give power in our communities to kids, because they don't mind us killing each other. They really don't. They talk about
they love it. They love it. They encourage it.
As long as it doesn't happen to them.
Yep.
That's it.
This is true. And that's another reason for this charity that I'm trying to start. Like, my goal is, like, a lot of people don't realize the heartache and the pain that a mom or a wife goes through after their loved one, their son or their kid's father is killed. Like, we get up every morning, we get up, get dressed for work, do whatever we got to do. Whole time this person is home, probably ain't even been to sleep. Probably don't even want to get out of bed. While we're smiling, they're crying. And I feel like we show love to them for the first couple weeks of their mourning, and then we go on with our lives. But they don't. They don't. Bills are backed up. Like, I've been in a predicament where, when I lost my father, I couldn't work for a year, and he was sick. I knew he was going to pass away. So if I dealt with that pain and what it put me through for a whole year, I could only imagine a mom whose son was taken away by the hand of somebody else.
I did a show, Nikki, with mothers of murdered sons and daughters. And even 10, 12 years later, the pain in
it's
that
still there
on Mother's Day, because I can't imagine, you know, I'm just happy to hear that you had that relationship with your dad, because that is another trajectory and image that they don't want to have out there. There's a notion that we don't have relationship with dads and fathers.
Oh no, I have a relationship with my father. He was a very, very educated man.
Many of us do. Many of us have that relationship, but it's a negative connotation that they say that we don't, and that the Black male is one that is absent in the community, which is not necessarily true. It's just that the prison to pipeline economy is so strong that it takes them out of there. But, you know, one issue we have is, you know, we have Black male leaders, we've had Black female leaders in this city, but the courage to do and be disruptive to a system that is racist, you know, you question the courage of our Black leadership.
You gonna let the lady talk, or you gonna talk her to death, man?
No, we talking each other to death.
Interviewee.
Now we got a problem because you're back, so it's all good.
I needed that coffee, man. Nikki, Mike Haney does a lot of good things somewhere in the world, but I do get the impression he loves Baltimore. For some reason, I think he loves. But tell him about the car club. They were the stars of the parade, and you know we're going back down on August 20th with the Battle of the Bands around Ann Arbor.
And we will be there. So basically, so a lot of people don't know a lot of things, like the car club world, the social club world, even the motorcycle world. They actually do a lot of good in the community. And I just hate that what you see on the news is not us. The bangers and the blocking of the traffic. Honestly, the main source of the car club world, that is definitely not us. We actually do a lot of good. Like I have this ride out that I do once a year, the R&B ride out. So basically, we all get together, cruise around the city, no rap music. I don't hear no cursing, no nothing. Good R&B, old school music. And then afterwards, I do a party up under 83. So I came to the idea of doing this basketball charity event with the car club. A friend of mine's was killed last year, and he had kids. And I wanted to do another memorial ride for him this year, but I wanted to be more than just a memorial ride. You know, like a lot of these families, when the male figure is killed, a lot of times they're the breadwinner of the family. They're the one that's making sure that their kids eat. And a lot of them, even though they're not with their baby mom, still make sure their baby mom is okay.
So look at Nikki, I got to jump in because you asked to have a basketball game.
Yes.
And so we have joining us live from the streets of Baltimore, Coach Rodell. Rodey!
What you say, brother Doni?
Good morning, Coach.
Hey, Coach, how you doing, man? I can still play. I just don't dunk no more, man.
Say that again?
I throw down. I go to Drew Hill Park. They call me old man at 64. I just won't dunk because I don't want to tear my Achilles. You got a team I can play on?
Yeah,
so
well, since you're talking to Coach, only bums played out Drew Hill Park. The guys that couldn't get on the real court.
No, I'm talking about now, man. I ain't talking about them
I'm talking
because
about
you're
now
right.
too.
Well, I'll be a bum. I'll be a bum.
Well,
But
Nikki, let me tell you, both of these brothers have been brothers to me on the mental, physical, the spiritual. These are my brothers from another mother, and we help each other. We elbow each other all day long. But if you want to do something with basketball,
okay,
and you had mentioned Druid Hill Park initially, and I suggested to you where?
Cloverdale.
Well, that's the man right there. Rodey, she wants to do She wants to do a basketball. Tell them what you want to do, Nikki.
So my goal for this charity event is I want to do a charity basketball game. I would like to have some vendors come out and basically all profits from this charity basketball game will be given to chosen families, the mothers, and specifically the mothers and the girlfriends or the wives of black men who have been murdered in Baltimore. Just kind of, help them out to let them know that even though our lives go on, we understand that yours can't. And we just want to show, give them something that we could use the money to start up a college fund for the kids. Maybe someone's mom, because their son passed away, their grief has kept them from maybe working. They could be behind on bills. We never know what a person is going through. So I want to get this basketball game together, kind of bring the community together and have some vendors come out, take profit if they're willing to take profit from that day, from that event, and also add to the pot to donate to these families that have been chosen. And who doesn't love basketball? Everyone loves basketball. So I want to get a few games together, and hopefully this can turn into something that I do annually, not just this one time. And I thought about
so what age group?
I specifically want to do 16 and up. I don't want to do it any younger than that.
So
and
can I give you a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Why not do it younger?
They the ones that bring out
those
the
are the
parents.
ones
They the
that's
ones
really
that bring
suffering.
out the parents and the money, right, Coach? You still there,
Can you
Coach?
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Coach.
I said, so why not do it younger? Because those are the ones that's really suffering.
Okay. I mean, I'm open. I'm open to suggestions.
That 9-year-old, that 10-year-old.
Okay.
You see, and then a lot of people don't want to deal with that population.
Okay.
Because one, they are all over the place. Number two, they can be very disrespectful for referees, and a lot of referees don't even want to deal with that population. I'm just throwing some stuff out you.
No, I'm listening.
But when you got 13 and under, you got some 10 and under, now if you want to do it that way as far as teenagers, then you can look at partner up with some schools.
Okay.
You got to always keep in mind. Now, I mean, if you got a real good rapport with these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and if you have them in somewhat check, by all means, let's do it.
Okay.
But
I think we lost Coach for a minute there, Nikki, but I agree with him. I think that what happens with the younger kids is that because you want to make money, all of a sudden you get support. Their parents come because they got to bring them, their brothers, right, sisters, etc. Although I like your theory about the older kids as well, as long as they are mentored and instructed beforehand in terms of what your goals are. And that's part of the soft and social skills we need to teach our kids on a basketball court as well, to Coach's point, how disrespectful they can be. Not acceptable.
Mike Haney, I want to jump in for a second. Rody, I know you're busy, and thank you for taking time out. But Rody, on multiple occasions, I've said on this show what you are dealing with when it comes to the former John Eager Howard Recreation Center. That is now a rebuilt school, Dr. Dorothy Height Elementary. Can you tell the people what you've been telling me and what I've been telling? Can you confirm what I've been saying about that our young people in the vicinity of Dr. Dorothy Height who do not attend the school cannot go in the school to use the recreation facilities?
Yes, not even the children. Me, a lifetime 56-year-old resident citizen who have Coach Carmelo Anthony, who have Coach Will Barton that plays for the Denver Nuggets now, who have mentored Terrence West, who played for the Baltimore Ravens, cannot go in that facility. Me, a prominent citizen like myself, I don't even have access to that facility. So it's very sad. I'll give you a perfect example of what I do. So my wife and I Saturday was sitting on the porch. Little boys running up the cars and stuff. We didn't know what was going on at first. So I called one of the little boys. I said, boy, come here. What y'all doing? He said, we selling chips. I said, how much are the chips? 50 cents and $1. So I said, all right, go get me some. So make a long story short, I said to my wife, I said, babe, can I invest in their business? She said, by all means, go ahead. So I called one little boy who I knew. I had him call his mother. I said, I'm going to teach you how to do this business. I said, now, number one, you didn't make that much money, did you? He said, no. I said, do you know why? No. I said, here's why. You got a lot of people getting shot. You got a lot of people getting killed. And you a black man running up to somebody's car, so you scaring them. I said, so we're going to show you how to do this the right way. So took him to Walmart, got him a cooler with wheels on it, took him to Sam's Club, got him 4 cases of water, 1 case of Gatorade, put him in a neutral corner where you got a bench, Whitelock and Linden, Whitelock and Brookfield, and now going to the community association saying, send this message out that you got some young men on the corner selling waters who you don't want the squeegee boys around here. You don't want the drug dealers around here, so invest in their business. Nice. Invest in their business. But I'm letting them know, if your mother tell me you're not doing your chores, if your grades fall, just stop. Because my daughter is a nurse. My wife is a nurse. I'm a master in human service. So we work hard, and anybody that work with us is going to work hard too. We didn't get where we was at because somebody opened the door for us. We got where we was at because we was disrespected. The workload was hard, and we made it through that. So this is just giving you some ideas. Here go another one. 2 young men got into an altercation at North and Linden. One got shot. Okay, coach, I need to have a sit down with them. So the one that did the shooting, right, is in front of my house talking to me. I'm trying to get him to agree and sit with the one he shot. One day I was coming out in the morning, I saw the one that got shot, and I'm trying to have a sit down with both of them. But right now, it is too much anger with them right now. So this is the kind of stuff that they didn't call 911. They called Coach Rodell. So when you're dealing with these children, as far as basketball, if you don't have a good rapport with that teenage to a young adult, you got to keep in mind, you got the BGF, you got the Crips, you got the Bloods. You got to keep all this stuff in mind when you putting that basketball thing out there.
Okay.
You got to keep all that in mind. With the children, it's neutral, it's fun, it's exciting, and you're still getting your point across.
Gotcha.
And then how about with that basketball tournament, the ones that got honor roll students, the ones that got principal honor roll, bring their report cards there, and now at halftime, bless them with an award to let them know it's nothing wrong with going to school, getting all A's and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with being on the principal list.
Okay.
But we keep supporting stuff that don't make no sense. Bring that child, bring that mother who lost her child. Look at this. Bring that mother who lost her child, but she's still strong on making the other ones go to school. She didn't break. And bless her with $300 and say, here, go to not Save a Lot. Go to Safeway, go to Giant and get some real groceries.
Some real food, yeah.
So that's what I'm about. So yes, you come up Cloverdale Sunday. You come up Cloverdale Sunday and we can sit down and have a talk. But because
I'm
of
with it.
Donnie Glover, I'm not going to say we might can do it. I'm going to say it's already done.
I appreciate that. Dev, all you gotta do is give me the time, and I'm there. I
You come
definitely
over there 10:30 in the morning.
okay.
10:30. If we can have a talk. Now, as a matter of fact,
I'll be there at 9:30.
we could do it better than that. You could come to my basketball camp this Saturday at Cloverdale. We could start the process then.
Okay.
Mike
I'll get all
Haney,
your information so I know exactly where I'm coming to.
443-475-6696.
Hold on 1 minute. Let me write that down. 443
475
475
6696.
6696.
Michael Haney, I'm surprised you don't know Brother Rodell, but he is a legend in this city. Now, I know, Rodell, you might not know Mike Haney because he's a lot older than all of us, but he manages hotels around the world.
Hey, so I'm going to be down at Cloverdale. I'm bringing my Converse. I'm going to bring my high top Converses at 10:30 on Sunday, and hopefully I can get on the court.
You gonna get your ankles broken.
Oh, he can bring them. He can get on the court.
Yeah, what's wrong with me feeling? What's wrong with me feeling at 64 that I can still play with these kids? And what's wrong with me not being afraid to get out on the court with these kids? Because maybe Coach and I, because I'm sure we know some of the same people. Because I played ball in the city for a number of years, but back in the 70s, when I went to Northwestern. So, we talk about Pop Wright and Arnold Gaines and Suge Sidnor, and so he probably knows those names, but he looks like he's about 46, 48. But anyway, I'm gonna stop down there. I don't know if it's Sunday, Coach, so we can shake hands, because if Donnie feels it's a good opportunity to have a relationship, pull resources, look at resources that we can do, because I work with a lot of young people in the Baltimore City Public Schools. And, hey, let's compare notes and see how we can, to that point that Mike Randolph and Chap said, continue to configure this village.
Maybe you can help Rodell get access to Dr. Dorothy Height, because I think it's a smack in the face when our 21st century dollars built these new schools, and to have a principal tell this man that he can't use the facilities for the young people in the community. Marilyn Mosby lived, 2 blocks away?
If that.
Mosby lived 2 blocks away. I've asked Senator Hayes on a number of occasions, and we got to go talk to the president of the universe, of the galaxy. Yeah. Man, just open the damn doors and let the kids in. What's wrong with you?
At some point, Donnie, talking does no good. Sometimes we have to disrupt. We did a 2-hour education show last night with some disruptors, and sometimes we have to disrupt. After church on Sunday, Coach, I'm going to stop down and shake your hand. Can't stay long. Maybe I'll run into Nikki as well. I'm going to stop down after church on Sunday just to say hi, exchange some information, and see how we collaborate and how we can be a benefit to each other, man.
Mike, I just want to say this one last thing. That Rhodey lives in the neighborhood, the same neighborhood he grew up in. He now has a home and a family of his own. The same streets he used to rip, race, and run back in the day, Brookfield and Whitelock. He's now doing the 180 and showing our people another and helping to save lives.
That's exactly what we have to do, Donnie. The preachers have run out to the suburbs. They come into the city,
not Rhodey,
take the money, and here we go with Coach that lives in the city, lives in the community. That's how we change communities. We can't abandon them and give orders from 30,000 feet down. We've got to be on the ground, working with people, living what we say. And so that's the issue in Black America, is that we chase that dollar and then we run out to the suburbs, and try to scream orders into the city.
Why didn't you move to the county like everybody else?
Reason why I didn't move to the county like everybody else is because I knew the plan. See, I knew the plan in 1998. So me and my wife, we can right now move anywhere, not in Baltimore City. We can move anywhere in the world. But we right here in Reservoir Hill. You see that? We We're right here in Reservoir Hill. Why? Because we already know in the next 7 years, 10 years, $250 million is going to be floating through this community.
Hey, Brody, how do you feel about bike lanes?
Bike lanes, phooey. You know, we've been riding bikes all our life. The bike lane for them white boys, it ain't for us. You know, we've been riding bikes all these years and being disrespected and ran over. Now because they in the hood, you got to put a lane for them. You know, man, please, that money could have went for some single parents that is struggling with educating their children.
Well, just let you know, Coach,
They're not going in.
those hoods may be changing over.
Well, Rhodey's house is paid for, so he ain't going no damn where.
Not unless they offer them $500 million, like they're gonna be offering
I can't hear you, Brody. I can't hear you, Brody.
They're gonna be offering $500,000 for your house, Donnie, and you're gonna move out to the suburbs. I know that.
Well, let me get that $500,000 in my pocket and let's talk about it.
Yeah, I know. Everybody has a price.
Hey, I'll take $500,000.
I think.
Okay, so Nikki, go ahead and plug your event one more time.
Yeah, Coach.
So
there you go.
Doing a charity event, basketball charity event. I will let you know the details when everything is finalized. I also, every year I do an R&B ride out. We meet down, it's July the 9th. We meet down Westside Shopping Center at 7 p.m. We pull off at 8 and we just ride around the city listening to some good music, pulling over in different neighborhoods, having an R&B party. And then afterwards, we hit up under 83 Bridge. I have a DJ down there. We have R&B battles. And just enjoy yourself. Kids are welcome. Everybody's welcome. And this is my third one that I've done so far.
Hey, Nikki.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be down there Sunday very briefly, right after I get out of church. If I bring you, just say yes, Mike. Just say yes. Go ahead and say yes. Okay,
yes,
great. So if I bring you a Baltimore Oriole hat, will you exchange that for the New York hat as you're doing work?
It depends on what it look like. She ain't wearing no ugly hat.
Yeah, it got to match an outfit of mine.
Hey, listen, well, we'll buy you a couple of hats, but it's all about the home team to kick the home spirit, because that's part of a strong foundation.
Do they have any black people that play on the Orioles?
Not that we don't care about New York. Not that we don't care about New York.
Elrod,
we don't care about New York.
We
in Baltimore City. We want the Baltimore City kids.
Name a black player on the Orioles.
What'd you say?
Name one black player on the Orioles.
Cedric Mullins. And Donnie, don't go down that road with me, man. Let me finish talking to Nikki. I know what's happening here. I'm from Baltimore like you. Go chase that white woman out of your alley selling drugs. Hey, so anyway, Nikki, it's all about the home city, and our kids have to be inspired to your point of how our imagery is, right? So why should I substitute an image of Baltimore rather than change the image of Baltimore by letting them be proud? And so it's leaders like you that can help that trajectory, but just simple symbolisms is what we have to do. So it isn't about not liking New York, it's about letting kids know that they can be proud of where they're from. You know what I'm saying? And it all helps with how I project that and how I, image that. And so I'm gonna bring you a hat on Sunday and shake your hand, give you a card, then I gotta ride off into the sunset, okay?
Okay.
Love you, Nikki, and I haven't even met you. Just something about you. She almost reminds me.
I'm a Virgo. That's what it is.
Almost reminds me of Christine Flowers to a degree, Donnie. What do you think? Almost up there.
Nikki is Nikki. Nikki gangster. I guess Christina. You know Christina Flowers, Nikki.
Who is that?
She gangster. She helped the homeless under 83.
Homeless man.
She's the homeless advocate extraordinaire. B. Gaddy.
Okay.
The queen, patron saint of Baltimore, would be very proud of both of you for caring about your brother, your sister, for caring about people that nobody else. And these politicians, too many times we see them walk right past our people. They wouldn't give Jesus $1.
See what Donnie did? Donnie brought together Nick, Coach, Mike, and Christina. And that's the village that our listeners were talking about. So now all of a sudden we can collaborate to Donnie's point in doing some good. I got to go, Nikki. I got to go before Donnie embarrasses himself. And I'll see you on Sunday, baby.
All right, I'll see. All right, Mr. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Nikki, any final thoughts before we go? This is into the 10 o'clock hour.
I appreciate the opportunity. I hope to come on again.
Oh, don't get me in no trouble. I like going to East Baltimore whenever I want without any interruptions. Please give a plug to Nell. Please mention Nell's name. Don't have that man looking for me on
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. A big shout out to Nell. Listen, a lot of plugs, a lot of networking that I've done. He's been the resource of it, and that's why I say no matter when DJ Nels call me, I'm answering, because when I call him, he answers. And if it wasn't for him, I would have never even got in connection with you. So definitely big shout out to Big Nels. Listen, he's not just a DJ. He's not just a DJ. That's a man of many, many, many talents. Him and his wife, Miss Lisa.
That's my soldier. That's my ride or die.
Listen, they both are doing great work. But Nels definitely has plugged me in and have gotten me out of a lot of jams.
He got me out of a jam.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate him linking me up with you, Mr. Brown, and having us in the parade.
I guess that's the signal. We better get up out of here. Nikki, I hope this was worth your time.
It definitely was.
You have my number. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're helping other people, and your circle just expanded.
I appreciate you, Mr. Don.
And so did theirs. My name's Donnie Glover. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother and sister's keeper. Good morning, world.